welcome back to the What Can I Paint Next course. This is exercise 2. I'm Jill Nicholas and it's exploring a subject, a figure, and we're going to start describing the figure using some adjectives. Linking in with how we learn language, we learn nouns, link adjectives to the nouns to describe it. That's what we're going to be doing here. It's part of the thought process into extending your art language so you can paint things that are more personal to you and become confident with the decision-making processes in that. So we have the planning sheet, exercise 2 planning sheet, describing a figure. As I said in exercise 1, I'm going to be concentrating on self-portraits in different styles, part of the work that's ongoing for me. So the figure is going to be another self-portrait in a costume. Might just write a little bit about that as well, in costume. Description. So where it says description, I'm going to write down some adjectives that actually fit into this picture. So how would I describe myself in there? Mad, crazy, masked, smart, murderous. You don't actually need to make a sentence out of these descriptive, out of these adjectives. You just need to think of them because it helps you concentrate on the painting that you're going to be doing. So I've got some adjectives down there. Might add some more, might leave it at that. But we have my figure and I've described myself a little bit. Sources, it's a selfie photograph. I think most of the images that I'm going to be doing in the self-portrait are going to be from selfie photographs. Once we get onto objects and landscapes, I'll try and get out, and I'll definitely be setting things up in the object still life bit. So materials, I'm going to be using acrylic paint, and this time I'm going to write down the names of the colours that I'm going to be using. So because I think it would help in later work if I can look back and see. I mean, I use the same 6 most of the time, but in showing you that I'm writing them down, it might help you sort of think, well, I could do that, and then I can refer back to it. Titanium white, cadmium yellow, crimson red, ultramarine blue, raw umber, burnt sienna. Surface, it's canvas, same size as the last one, 30 centimetres by 40 centimetres. Time estimate. I think it might take a little bit longer than yesterday's because I'm doing more of the shoulders and the costume that's on. So I think 5 or 6 hours. Right, so the fundamentals in this, the line work. I'm going to put it as 3 again because it's going to be important to get the lines right, but the lines won't be visible because it's a painting. So although I'm going to be using them, there will be painted line work. That's what I was a bit about. But as far as the weight of line and the description of line, not as much in this one. Tone. I'd say a 3 in this one because it's going to be a very dark background with very light. The costume almost makes abstract shapes. So obviously for shape, 5, because the costume's making abstract shapes. Texture. There is a shiny mask and there's texture on the clothes and the hair. So I'd say a 4 because it's not a main feature. Texture again was important in the last one because of the hair. The texture in this, there's a few more things that I really need to think about the textures in them. There's a shiny mask, the hair, the textures of the materials are slightly different. Colour. Now on this one I'm going to put a 5 because the colour of the hair and the mask are eye-catching. They're bright, vivid red. So I'm going to do as much as I can in this painting to make those colours pop out. I might put some greens in the background or something so that the red really comes forward. Composition. Again, the composition on this one is important, but I'd say the shapes and the colour are the main. So I'm going to say composition 4. It's still important because the body has got sort of a bend in it. It's sort of got a lean that adds to the composition of the painting. It's got a bit of a flow to it rather than just being vertical. It's got 2 diagonals that come at each other like that. So in doing this, I've really thought about the decisions I've needed to make to start this painting. I don't know if I'd have gone as much into my thinking if I hadn't have written all this down. I certainly wouldn't have been able to explain it to you without these prompts. So have a go with the planning sheet, exercise 2 planning sheet, and use it as a way of practicing looking at the painting, looking at the image that you're going to paint. Fantastic. I'm ready to have a go now. I'll get my paints out and away we go. Have fun with your planning too. I've traced the shape of the face onto a piece of paper and I'm putting it onto the canvas. But as you can see, I've actually put it at an angle. As I was saying before in the composition, I quite liked the angles of the leaning. So I'm exaggerating those a little bit more to exaggerate the description of being a bit mad and a little bit crazy. So I'm just having the knife coming in more at an angle like that. And then I'm going to have the top part of the face going this way, and then I'm going to exaggerate that bend in the body, hopefully. So I'm just going to trace this out and then I'll start the painting. Well done on completing exercise 2. As you can see, here's the finished painting. All the way through, I was making decisions about what I wanted to do in the painting, and I must admit I did keep going back to things like the adjectives that I thought about, and I tried to think of ways I could incorporate the adjectives. Did a bit more in my sketchbook entry. I've had mad, crazy, masked, smart and murderous. And I thought, well, how can I incorporate that a bit more? You may be able to see some of the texture behind. I played with that a little bit to get that idea of craziness. And then I kept quite clean lines with the smart. And the crazy, I did a few wisps of hair coming out. So with composition, with the colours, bright reds, very darks, I was constantly thinking about how I was trying to portray this figure, self-portrait, how I was trying to portray that with those adjectives in mind. So I noticed that while you're working, if you have something like that in mind, it does help with your decision making on where to go next in the painting. You can do all sorts of figures. You can do scary, mad figures, or you can do gentle, calming figures. It's all about what you want to say about that person, or what you want to capture in a figure. Do you want to capture how calm they are? Do you want to capture how knowledgeable they are? Which it sounds really difficult, it probably is, but if you actually break it down into what can I do with colour, what can I do with the background, what can I do to actually make them look knowledgeable, that's what this is about. It's those decision making processes that you do before you start, and they carry on whilst you're doing your painting. They don't stop at this. You don't fill this in and then that's it, done. You may go off this slightly as you find things work within the painting. It's all starting points. It's all prompts and aids to get you thinking. Have a go. See what you think. Next exercise, exercise 3, is going to be about taking a figure with the description, and then we look at what that figure is doing, what the figure is doing in the painting, what the figure is doing in general, that sort of thing. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next exercise. Bye.